Developing right now on Morning News Now, mounting tension in the Middle East nearly 6 months into the war with Iran as a 60-day deadline to end the fighting passes without a deal. Now, President Trump threatening to bomb a key U.S. ally over the Strait of Hormuz and scaling back on joint military drills with another ally, South Korea.
South Korea has been protected by us for many, many years. You're not going to help us on a very easy military operation in Iran? That's strange. No, we'd rather not get involved. I say, well, why are we involved in helping you?
Also this morning, the polls are open for consequential primaries in 3 key states. We will bring you the latest. Also developing a path of destruction across the Midwest after the latest round of summer storms. Plus tens of millions of people from coast to coast bracing for historic heat. Angie is tracking it all. Plus, Meta on trial this morning, the social media giant due in court for a landmark case. 4 states accusing the company of knowingly making its platforms addictive to children. How the outcome of the trial could impact what you see when you scroll. And act your emoji. Turns out there's a generational gap when it comes to the most used emojis. We'll break down the data and what your favorite emoji could be saying about you. Are you a big emoji user?
I think I use 2. The laughing one and sometimes bowling because I'm in a bowling league, and that's about it. How about you?
Okay, well, what's funny is when you say the laughing one, do you mean the guy with the like smiles and the crying face, like little tears?
I think it's one of the tears.
Okay, yeah. Because that's generational.
That's generational.
Otherwise,
if I'm old, does that mean?
Well, I use it too.
Oh, okay.
But then
You're
like
old too.
Gen Z,
Right.
exactly, will use like the skull.
The skull.
For laughing.
Interesting. All right. We will take a deep dive into the psychology of all of it. Good to have you with us this morning. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. Thanks for being here. We are going to begin in the Middle East, where the 60-day deadline to end the war with Iran came and went without a breakthrough. President Trump said he would not be seeking an extension of the Memorandum of Understanding or interim ceasefire that expired on Monday.
This morning, Iran's top negotiator says the Strait of Hormuz will remain closed until the U.S. meets the conditions of that interim deal. All this as the president now threatens to bomb a U.S. ally, Oman. He's also still dismissing those concerns about conditions on the USS Abraham Lincoln. NBC's Bianca Fascini joins us now with more on all of this. Bianca, good morning.
Hey, Savannah and Joe, good morning. The U.S. and Iran remain in a stalemate with no deal yet, and it's unclear how much longer this could all drag on for. But as we wait for progress, we're now seeing how the conflict is impacting relationships with some of our allies. 60 days later, and still no peace agreement between the U.S. and Iran.
They want to make a deal, but they're not going to make the kind of a deal that I feel is necessary. It's very simple. They can't have a nuclear weapon.
Sign the MOU?
It's signed, yeah. Signed?
Both countries signed a memorandum back in June and seem even further apart now. Meanwhile, traffic in the Strait of Hormuz has slowed to a crawl, keeping gas prices high and the GOP on edge ahead of the midterms.
Everybody in the world has an interest in the Strait of Hormuz being open for commerce. And so I believe we'll be getting into a new phase of that where we can calm this down, that will hold gas prices down to planet Earth.
Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law and special envoy, says a deal is still on the table.
He'll make the right deal when the right deal is ready.
Though the deadline for an agreement comes as the U.S. faces rising tension with key allies. The president said he would bomb Oman if it gets in the way of a deal with Iran, according to an interview with Fox News. He also recently announced the U.S. would scale back joint military exercises with South Korea.
They said, wait a minute, we have 39,000 soldiers over there guarding you from Kim Jong-un, your next-door neighbor, and you're not going to help us on a very easy military operation in Iran? That's strange.
Now, on top of gas prices troubling consumers, new polling from Reuters and Ipsos shows that a majority of Americans are concerned the war with Iran will last for a long time. That same survey shows that the president's approval rating is the lowest it's ever been at 33%. Savannah and Joe.
All right. Bianca, thank you so much.
Well, turning now to Decision 2026, with Election Day just 2.5 months away. Voters are heading to the polls today to cast their ballots in primaries in 4 states as the midterm elections move into a pivotal stretch.
3 of the states we're focused on today: Alaska, Florida, and Wyoming. Voters there are choosing nominees for key statewide and congressional races. And in a special election in California, voters will pick a replacement to fill former Congressman Eric Swalwell's seat. He resigned from Congress over sexual assault and misconduct allegations.
NBC News reporter Gary Grumbach joins us now to break it all down. Gary, good morning. So let's start in Alaska. This is where a hotly contested Senate race is one of the biggest draws today. What are we watching for there?
Yeah, this is perhaps one of the most unique races we are watching today. Alaska has an all-party ranked vote choice system, which means that the top vote getters from either party move on to the general election in November. And two of the top vote getters in the Republican Party could be the same name. They could be Dan Sullivan. Senator Dan Sullivan is running for re-election against a Dan J. Sullivan. And the sitting senator has called foul, saying that this is a political move and that Dan J. Sullivan is doing this for political purposes. Perhaps he was a Democratic plant. Dan J. Sullivan says that's not true, but this race is certainly going to be interesting for that reason nonetheless. Alaska Congresswoman Mary Peltola is also running for the seat as a Democrat.
Gary, let's talk about Florida. Today's primaries are sort of the first test of a controversial new congressional map there. What are the key races taking shape in the Sunshine State?
Yeah, Republicans redrew their maps in Florida, leading them to gain they have now 24 seats of the 28 total seats in Florida. So that's a significant increase from the 20 that they had before the maps were redrawn. And so members of Congress that are Democrat, including Jared Moskowitz, Kathy Castor, Darren Soto, are all sort of up against the wall here. They're running in areas that voted overwhelmingly for Trump in 2024 and are likely to lose their seats come November. There is one open seat that is up for grabs after Congresswoman Sheila McCormick resigned after being indicted for COVID fraud. So that's a seat that could go potentially either direction.
Gary, in Wyoming, voters are choosing a nominee to succeed retiring Senator Cynthia Lummis. What is at stake in that race?
So this is all about the impact of President Donald Trump's endorsement. We've seen it work very effectively in the past. We'll see where it goes in Wyoming here. President Trump has endorsed Congresswoman Harriet Hageman for the Senate seat there in Wyoming to replace the retiring senator there. But she's facing off against a political candidate who has some serious backing in the state of Wyoming because he's sort of a brand name there. A small-town mayor named Sam Mead, whose uncle was a longtime governor of the state of Wyoming, is running for that seat as well, guys.
Gary, finally, we should talk about California. Two Democrats are competing. It's a special runoff to try and finish Eric Swalwell's term for the last few months here. Remember, he was running for governor, resigned from Congress after sexual assault and misconduct allegations came to light. He's denied those allegations. But what could this race tell us?
Yeah, this is going to be a state senator, Aisha Wahab, and Melissa Hernandez, who's serving on the board of a Bay Area Public Transportation Authority. The Super PAC, the impact here is going to be what we're watching. APAC, which is the pro-Israel Super PAC here in the U.S., they've endorsed Melissa Hernandez and thrown a ton of money, millions of dollars, into her campaign. Now, this is only just to fill out the rest of Eric Swalwell's seat, which goes until January. Once in November, they're going to have to face off again. These two candidates are going to face off again for the full term for the next 4 years.
All right, Gary Grumbach, thank you so much.
Meta is back in court today for a pivotal trial. It comes after the social media giant lost a big case in New Mexico, is ordered to pay nearly $1 billion. Jurors there found the company liable for knowingly harming the mental health of children.
This time, attorneys general representing 29 states will argue the social media giant behind Facebook and Instagram of knowingly creating an algorithm that is addictive, especially for teenage users.
Let's bring in NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalas to help us break it all down. Danny, good to have you with us. We know the opening arguments are scheduled to begin today. What do we expect to hear from both sides, from both Meta and the state attorneys general here?
From the state attorneys general, you're going to hear an argument that this case is about deception. It's about lying. In other words, these companies used their power to deceive consumers like you see right there in our B-roll or whatever that's called, that they looked at, that they were designed to be addictive. It's basically a design defect case. Meta is going to stay consistent with testimony we've heard before that these applications are designed to be useful, not addictive. And that is a difficult line to thread because, after all, every company's biggest dream is that their product is addictive, not medically or chemically addictive, but something that people have a high demand for. So the companies have a difficult line to walk here.
Danny, so we mentioned, Joe just said a moment ago, there was this New Mexico case. There's actually quite a few of these suits going on across the country. The New Mexico one is where we just already have kind of seen the impact here for Meta. How do these all impact each other, this whole chain of all these as these floodgates kind of open on lawsuits like this?
Yeah, great question. The New Mexico case is totally different. Different state, different laws, different parties. But even though those decisions have no legal effect, they have a massive spiritual effect. They have a massive incentive effect on the companies, because I'm certain their lawyers have gone to these executives and said, look, these cases are bellwethers. And if they're not going our way, it's something to think about with our litigation strategy. You can spend all your money litigating these cases, or you may have to make a business decision looking at some of the verdicts and how big they are and how much some of these plaintiffs are seeking. This could be an extant threat to you and maybe the industry.
You know, Danny, when we look at that New Mexico case, Mark Zuckerberg did not actually testify. He is expected to take the stand this time around. What do you think of that strategy? How could that play out? Pros and cons?
It's not so much a strategy, but New Mexico, being a state court, didn't really have the power to subpoena an out-of-state resident. When you're talking about a federal court in California, where Zuckerberg presumably lives, it's a lot easier to exert jurisdiction over him. But it's not that unusual to use what's called a de bene esse testimony for trial. You're looking at it right there. That's just a videotaped deposition. But deposition is a bit of a misleading word. It is trial testimony to be played at trial as if it were at trial. And the one thing I found is that it kind of bores jurors more than having actually Zuckerberg in the room with you and observing him and watching him. But in general, it's valid testimony. Ideally, you want Zuckerberg himself, the guy, in the courtroom.
Interesting. All right, Danny, good to have you with us. Thank you so much.
Well, the summer of relentless heat is once again cranking up the temperature.
Yeah, this morning, 69 million Americans are waking up under heat alerts stretching across the southern half of the U.S. While in the Midwest, those severe storms continue to wreak havoc across several states. Deadly flooding remains a serious concern. In Oklahoma, a lightning strike sparked a large fire at a natural gas facility.
We're going to get a look at your full forecast in just a minute. But first, we're going to get out to NBC News national correspondent Aaron Gilchrist, who is covering the hot weather for us from Atlanta. Aaron, good morning. So what is the temperature out there right now? I know it's still early.
It is still early, and that really is the fortunate thing right now. The temperatures, we're doing pretty well here. It's 74 degrees. It feels like 74 degrees right now. You may see a few people on the trail behind me running by and doing some exercising as well. This is the time to be outside if you have to be outside today in so many places. Get all that exercise done early, because the heat is really going to kick in as the day progresses. We know here in Atlanta, we're expecting to have that feels like temperature right around 100 degrees by this afternoon. But there are other parts of the southern tier of the country, really stretching from parts of California all the way to Florida, where we could see temperatures, again, in that 100-degree range. You think about some parts of Arizona, they're looking at maybe 115 degrees today in that area. It's going to be really humid in so many places along the Gulf Coast as well, going into Florida. And so the thinking is you need to be prepared for this heat dome that we're dealing with, because the reality is, Savannah and Joe, this heat dome is going to stay in place for some time. We expect to have these really scorching temperatures for at least several more days in so many places.
Yeah, the heat dome feels like a permanent feature right now of the United States this summer. We've also seen these severe storms taking a toll on Indiana this week. We've been talking about that for days. How else are people being impacted by the weather today?
Yeah, you mentioned some of the things that we're seeing. You take, for example, in Oklahoma, where we know there were storms and a lightning strike hit that oil tanker facility that you mentioned, and I think it was a lightning strike that really hit 3 tanks in that area, and you can see the flames and the smoke just billowing into the sky. There was a natural gas facility actually near Tulsa, with those tanks catching fire, creating that black smoke, creating some air quality concerns for folks there. We know as you head out to Colorado, there were storms in that area as well that led to some flooding in a burn scar area. At least one person killed in that incident. And then, of course, you mentioned Indiana, where we saw days and days of just those big storms, heavy rainfall in so many areas. We know that the state has had to open these temporary shelters for about 1,000 families across Indiana who are just going to, in the next couple of days, hope to get back into their homes to see what they can salvage from the storms that have rolled through there, Joe and Savannah.
So, Aaron, for those of us who are hanging on to these last few weeks of summer, if you're in an area where you're getting this heat, how can we stay cool if we do want to go hang out outside?
Well, we talked about getting out early, right? If you need to do things outside, you want to get out early and get that done. If you have to be out during the day, during the real heating of the day in these places, you want to think about all the things that we know help us to stay cool, right? You want to wear that lightweight, light-colored clothing. You want to make sure that you have your water with you. Turn that around so you can see the NBC News Now logo. Have your water with you so that you can hydrate. You want to be drinking water every 15, 20 minutes or so to make sure that you're staying hydrated. It may look like a silly hat here, but I tell you what, this is the sort of thing that is going to block the sun for you, right? It's going to create that sort of shadow feel around you to block that sun. You want to make sure you have good sunglasses with you as well, Joe and Savannah. These are all ways that you can try to beat the heat if you have to be out in it. But getting inside, into air conditioning, that really is going to be the #1 way to keep yourself cool and safe.
Okay, you're working that hat. It's not silly. I'm into it.
Always stylish and always promoting NBC News Now. Aaron Gilchrist, good to have you with us. Stay cool. All right. Let's get more now on the record. High temperatures that are expected across the South. Time for your morning News Now weather.
I like this little hat tip there. Wait,
right. Where's your hat?
Aaron, help me out. I don't even have a water bottle.
In the air conditioning.
Come on, I'm in the air conditioning. You're right. I don't need it. All right, guys, we've got a whole lot going on, as you just heard Aaron mentioning. The heat is one of those things that's going to get your attention, and we've also got some storms to talk about. So let's start with the temperatures. The heat risk, really expansive today. No surprise here. Wherever you see those oranges, those reds, those purple, those are locations that we could potentially see some heat-related health impacts today. So 67 million people are under a major risk, and then you look a little closer to the purple, that's extreme risk. So across parts of Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas, much of the Southeast included in this. So we are concerned about those, again, heat-related impacts through the day today. Here's what we're looking at as far as our temperatures: high 90s, if not triple digits for the actual temperatures, and just about everybody into the triple digits for your feels like temperatures. We've got 94 in Atlanta today, feels like 98, 97 in New Orleans. It'll feel like 111. Jacksonville also feeling like 111, even warmer for the feels like in Wilmington. You top out at 98, but you will feel like 113. Tomorrow, no different. It's more of the same. We really are stuck in this sauna here, even as we get into tomorrow and beyond. We've got temperatures well into the 90s still in Baton Rouge, Memphis, Charlotte, Dothan, Dallas. You're going to be into the triple digits for your actual temperatures. And then, of course, you guessed it, we've got to add in that humidity, and it feels like 100 plus in a lot of these spots. Baton Rouge, your warmest, is going to be 106 on Thursday. We've got Corpus Christi, though, 110 on Thursday, 107 for Dallas. I mentioned that we've also got some thunderstorms and some concerns for flooding across specifically parts of the plains and Midwest. It is just kind of ongoing and unsettled there. We'll still see that severe risk for Nebraska and Kansas, stretching across parts of the plains. And then tomorrow, much of that rain starts to work across the Ohio Valley, and we'll get a little bit of it across the Northeast as well. But again, we're still going to see the potential for stronger storms across the plains. Wind gusts are going to be our main threat, but we could potentially see some hail and some, of course, isolated tornadoes. And then, guys, we're still concerned about that flash flooding across parts of the Midwest from Chicago to Kansas City and down to Rolla.
All right. Important safety information there for people to keep an eye on, too. Thank you, Angie. Of course. Well, the trial for the man accused of ordering a hit on rapper Tupac Shakur back in 1996 is officially underway in Las Vegas. Nearly 30 years after Shakur's death, Dwayne Keefe Davis could face life in prison if convicted. Both legal teams gave opening statements yesterday, and prosecutors began their case by calling witnesses to explain what happened in the hours leading up to the shooting. NBC News correspondent Dana Griffin has the latest.
Prosecutors laying out a roadmap of murder, nearly 3 decades since the death of rap icon Tupac Shakur.
Tupac is gunned down in a drive-by shooting from a white Cadillac in an act of revenge.
Prosecutors say Dwayne Keefe Davis, the sole living occupant inside that Cadillac, orchestrated the killing.
Now, let's be clear. Dwayne Davis did not pull the trigger. But what he did do was plan the retaliation for the beating of his nephew.
Retaliation for this brawl, captured on surveillance video hours earlier inside a Las Vegas casino, authorities say. You see Tupac and death row executive Suge Knight beating up Davis's nephew, Orlando Anderson, police say over a stolen necklace earlier that summer. Prosecutors using Davis's own words against him, playing a series of recorded interviews and quoting from his own memoir.
In the book, he says, Them jumping on my nephew gave us the ultimate green light to do something to their.
The 63-year-old was arrested in 2023 and has pled not guilty. His defense team argues his past statements were not reliable and Davis was known to BS.
What you're going to find is that the state cannot prove to you beyond a reasonable doubt the claim that Keefe had anything to do with a first-degree murder.
A former Vegas officer testifying this was Tupac's answer inside the ambulance when asked who shot him.
And did he ever respond? Yes, he responded, no, we'll take care of it. So, something like that.
No, we'll take
care of it.
Now it's up to a jury to decide who's responsible for one of the music industry's greatest unsolved murders.
Our thanks to Dana Griffin for that report.
We have much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, stop the swipe as more singles express frustration over online dating. Some of the hottest apps are turning to AI for an upgrade. Look at how the technology is trying to help some people find love.
First, though, after the break, developing news from overnight tragedy in the Philippines after a deadly school shooting that officials say was all captured on a live stream. The latest is up next.
Welcome back. In the Middle East, there is renewed uncertainty over the future of Gaza. Jared Kushner left the region without a breakthrough on President Trump's stalled peace plan.
On Monday, in an attempt to restart the process, the president's special envoy and son-in-law held talks with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, who rejected Mr. Trump's plan just this month. A day earlier, Kushner also met face-to-face with Hamas leaders in Cairo.
NBC News international correspondent Matt Bradley joins us now from Tel Aviv. So, Matt, no breakthrough. What did we hear from all sides about these talks with Netanyahu? Is he showing any signs he's willing to change his views on the peace plan?
Yeah, I mean, it's very clear from what we saw from the brief readouts we got from the Israeli side and from the side of the Board of Peace that it looks as though if there was any real gap between the Israeli side and that of Kushner, Trump, the Board of Peace, this meeting may have closed it. Benjamin Netanyahu, it sounds like, was able to extract something like a guarantee from Jared Kushner. And this we heard from senior Israeli officials saying that Hamas would not, or Israeli forces would not have to withdraw from the Gaza Strip until Hamas fully disarmed. This is one of the things that the Israeli Prime Minister has been pushing for, sometimes in violation of Trump's own foreign policy goals. But now, according to the conversations that I've had with people in the halls of power here in Israel, it looks as though there's a lot more satisfaction after months of discord between Washington and Jerusalem, not only over Gaza, but also over Iran and Lebanon.
Matt, this comes also as members of Netanyahu's cabinet call for more extreme action in Gaza. We heard from Israel's national security minister over the weekend calling for, he said, the targeted killings of 30 to 40 people in Gaza each night. What's been the reaction to that? Why are we hearing this?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that, we hear this from Itamar Ben-Gvir, the national security minister. We either hear this kind of thing with some unfortunate frequency. And these are exactly the kinds of comments that the International Criminal Court and other international legal bodies tend to bring up and invoke when they're deciding about whether or not the Israeli military and leadership are guilty of genocide or other war crimes. Talk that is dehumanizing, that is murderous, that implies killing innocent people or collective punishment. All of these effectively war crimes in front of the International Court. Itamar Ben-Gvir, a lot of Israelis will tell you, is a far-right minister. He doesn't represent mainstream Israeli public opinion. But let's look at this. He is in the cabinet. He is one of the most far-right members of Benjamin Netanyahu's extremely far-right cabinet. And he is, on some level, facing, as part of this whole group, a critical election coming up at the end of October for which Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister, is fighting for his political life. Well, it looks as though this minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir, the national security minister, has decided to pitch his tent on the side of the electorate that wants to see more blood in the Gaza Strip and doesn't want to see anything like compromise in any of the major theaters in which Israel is fighting.
Matt, we spoke with you last week about the Palestinian village in the occupied West Bank that's under siege from Israeli settlers. I know NBC News has obtained some videos and an update from one of the residents there. Remind us what's happening and what are we hearing now?
Well, unfortunately, the situation hasn't really changed since we last spoke, but we did see the American-Palestinian homeowner returning to Ben Gurion Airport yesterday. He drove all the way out to his home in the West Bank, and I think you're seeing that image on your screen now. This man, a Palestinian American whose home has been besieged by Israeli far-right settlers and given not nearly enough adequate protection, according to him and other Palestinians, from the Israeli military and the Israeli police. There he is, raising an American flag over his home in the Israeli-occupied West Bank. It's a stirring image, and one that really just goes to show that the Palestinians in the West Bank are not isolated. Many of them are citizens of foreign countries, countries who they hope would put some pressure on the Israeli government. We saw that kind of pressure just last week when American ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, called those settlers terrorists. But we've yet to see any real change on the ground with that very worrying situation there in Kusra.
All right, Matt Bradley in Tel Aviv. Matt, thank you.
Well, in Cuba, the intensifying economic pressure on its government by the U.S. has left the island with food and fuel shortages. Consequently, Cuba's once thriving tourism industry has essentially collapsed. Havana-based journalist Ed Augustin introduces us to the everyday Cubans who are now struggling to survive.
Just 10 years ago, tourism in Cuba was breaking records. Millions of tourists visited the island, many of them Americans. But now, Havana hotspots that were jam-packed before are empty.
¿Cómo está el turismo?
Malo, mira, no hay turismo.
Sí.
¿Qué turismo va a venir si en un país que no hay ni corriente, ni agua, ni gas, ni para cocinar? ¿Qué turismo va a venir?
The Trump administration's effective oil blockade on the island is now into its 7th month, compounding long-standing problems with the island's struggling, state-controlled economy. Power is now on for only a couple of hours a day for most people. With no jet fuel, most international airlines are no longer flying to and from the island. And there's next to no gasoline for Cuba's classic cars.
En el día puedes dar una vuelta. Hay veces que no das ninguna.
In May, new US sanctions threatened hotel companies doing business with companies owned by the Cuban state. International hotel operators promptly pulled out, including Spanish giants Meliá and Iberostar. As a result, 25,000 hotel workers are now without a job, according to Cuban Prime Minister Manuel Marrero Cruz. Private boutique hotel owners Julia and Silvio are among the hundreds of thousands of Cubans who rely on tourism.
Ahí no hay turismo, no existe el turismo, o sea, eso no existe. Desde hace mucho tiempo fue bajando y de manera vertiginosa hasta que hemos llegado a cero.
The couple say their business is just 20% of what it used to be. With no tourists, they now have to rent out their pool to locals. They have had to fire employees, and they're unsure how much longer they can hold on.
This is something that we have been created for over 35 years. So it's my life on every corner. To give up, it is something that I don't want to think about.
Tourism in Cuba peaked in 2018, when the island welcomed close to 5 million tourists. By last year, that figure was down to just 1.8 million. In the first half of 2026, the island received just 700,000 tourists. That's less than half the number it received over the same period last year. 10 years ago, I was reporting here when the first US cruise ship in over half a century was allowed to dock in Havana, right here behind me. Then they came one after the other. But these days, none come, and this affects everyday Cubans. Yoandri used to work as a tour guide. He met his wife only when she was working for another tour operator. They are both now unemployed and have been for months.
The reality is that there's many people that are relying on tourism. I'm relying on tourism. My family is relying on tourism. So the common people, the common Cubans are the ones that are really affected by the whole situation.
Being without income and transportation is stressful. And then there's the power outages.
No! They suffer,
They suffer.
It's heavy. I can't feed my family as well as I would like, as they need. I give them what I find, what I can.
Earlier this summer, the ruling Communist Party announced major policy changes, more space for the private sector, which it hopes will haul the island out of its grueling economic crisis. But as iconic locations around the island remain empty, and with Secretary of State Marco Rubio saying there will be no escape valves, the fate of those who rely on visitors looks bleak. Ed Augustin, NBC News, Havana.
We have developing news now out of the Philippines. A shooting at a high school this morning has left at least 2 students dead.
NBC News international correspondent Claudia Labonga joins us now to take us around the world in 60 seconds. Hey, Claudia, good morning.
Savannah, Joe, good morning. Well, that's right. A high school student in the Philippines shot and killed a fellow student before killing himself and live streamed the whole attack on social media wearing a body camera. Now, the police said the attacker, a 9th grade student, first fired at a teacher sitting in front of a class but missed. He then shot and killed a student before committing suicide. The police also said the student live streamed his attack on Facebook Live. Let's go to Belgium now, where one of the country's biggest ever wildfires is raging out of control and now threatens neighboring Germany. The fire in the Liège province has burned an estimated 12 square miles of forest and spread out to about 5 miles from the German border. Some 500 firefighters are trying to put out the blaze with the help of planes sent from several neighboring countries. And let's end this tour of the world in Athens, where the Olympic Stadium is getting its first major cleanup in more than a century. The stadium, made entirely of white marble, hosted the first modern Olympics in 1896, and every 2 years, the Olympic Flames handover ceremony. Cleaners are now carefully and patiently removing the century-old dirt, including old chewing gum and soft drink stains with water spray lances and steam, to give back to the stadium its original gleaming look that gave it its nickname, which is Kili Marmaro. Well, that means in Greek, beautiful marble, guys.
Wow, over a century.
There you go. Can't wait to see it. Still, though, easier than cleaning a teenager's bedroom. Yeah. So there you go.
Probably.
Thanks, Claudia.
That's right.
Thank you. Coming up, it's one of the hardest parts about going back to school. We are talking about setting the alarm and getting up early for class.
Just because summer's over, though, doesn't mean a good night's sleep is too. So we're going to get some tips to help your family transition. Don't snooze. Morning News Now. We'll be right back.
Time now for our weekly mental health check-in. This morning, we are looking at how teens' relationships with their pets may impact their mental health.
Plus, a benefit to getting older, why researchers believe we have fewer regrets as we age.
For more, let's bring in Dr. Robbie Ludwig. She's a psychotherapist and host of the Pivot with Robbie Ludwig podcast. She joins us now on all these. Hi, always great to see you. Okay, so let's start with a topic. It's been in the news actually a lot lately. I mean, this is the mental strain really on our service members in general, but we've been hearing a lot lately about the crew of the USS Abraham Lincoln. It spent nearly 9 months at sea in the Middle East, and we've been hearing from family members of sailors on board voicing their concerns here. What are the big mental health issues here for service members?
Well, first of all, any type of long extended separation from families and your activities of daily living in the outside world can force a sense of loneliness and increased stress. There's also no escape. So their work life merges into their personal life, and that can be very frustrating and interfere with a sense of autonomy. Their sleep regulation is being disrupted. And all of this can really lead to very increased stress levels, anxiety, and depression. So it's really important that they are able to get mental health services if they need, stay connected. Also, good leadership comes in as being strongly impactful on the crew during times like this.
Let's switch gears a little bit here and talk about this new study that was published in the Journal of Adolescence. It's about teens and their relationship with pets. Researchers found, perhaps no surprise here, pets can help teens cope with some social issues, but I understand it's not all positive news. So walk us through the findings here.
Yeah, so this was really interesting. It was a smaller study looking at how pets can really help teens regulate their emotion, but it all depends on the relationship. So if you are caregiving for a dog and you're, responsible with the dog and you have a companionship with the dog, that can lead to positive thinking, emotional regulation, and all over a good sense of well-being. However, it is not the same if you use your dog as a replacement for human beings. That is associated with more rumination, avoidance, and problems. So the key is Pets are great, but they're not a replacement for human beings.
All right. Finally, this one that Joe mentioned, it's a study. It looks at aging. Maybe a little surprise here, but researchers say as we get older, we have fewer regrets. What might be going on here? What's the benefit of that?
Yeah, I love this. It is really true that as you get older, you tend to see the glasses half full instead of empty. We have wisdom. We understand that the things we might have regretted in the past could have worked out for the best in the present moment. So we tend to focus on what matters, what we can change in the moment. Our relationships are very important and experiences are very important.
Dr. Robbie Ludwig, thanks so much. Always good to see you.
Speaking of regrets, kids might have a few of them as they get ready to head back to school. One summer habit might be especially tough to break. That's staying up late and then sleeping in. Already, many kids just aren't getting enough sleep. CDC data shows nearly 3 in 4 high school students and then almost 6 in 10 middle school students just don't get the recommended amount of sleep on school nights.
That can have a real impact in the classroom. So too little sleep is linked to problems with focus, behavior, academic performance. Experts actually recommend 10 to 13 hours of sleep. That's for preschoolers. 9 to 12 hours for kids ages 6 to 12, and 8 to 10 hours for teens. So with the first day of school right around the corner, maybe has already happened for some families, how can you hit the reset button rather than the snooze button when it comes to some good sleep habits?
Joining us now is Dr. Carol Ash, a board-certified sleep specialist at Deborah Heart and Lung Center. Dr. Ash, always good to have you with us. Obviously, for some families, it might be a little bit too late, but some are still looking ahead. They got a few more days or a few more weeks before they head back to school. So what can parents do now to start maybe moving those bedtimes, those wake-up times now to get everyone on track for that first day of school?
Well, Joe, it's never too late. The time is now, right? And you want to start moving bedtime and wake up time 15 minutes earlier and start, adjusting a few days ahead and, keep the sleep and wake times consistent. That's really important. And, start if you can a few days before school, but today is as good as any day to start. It really is.
What should the hour before bed look like? What, for kids, especially? Like, I know you're going to have some tips like keeping the phones and the tablets out of the way, out of the bedroom, that kind of thing. What can we do right before we sleep?
Savannah, that hour before is really important. Your brain needs an hour to transition into the sleep physiology. So, do some simple things that hour before. You want to, turn off those screens like you suggested. Try journaling and, even a warm shower can be very helpful. And you want to keep the bedroom cool, dark and quiet. Reserve your bedroom really for sleep. Those things can go a long way. And, you have to realize what is the wake up time that your kid's going to have to get up in the morning, and make sure that hour before you really set it so they can get enough sleep. That's important too.
What type of sleep habits do you suggest to help kids fall asleep faster so they're not just sitting there staring at the ceiling, letting an hour, 2 hours go by, and then just so that they overall do sleep better through the night, avoid waking up in the middle of the night, and also not getting back to bed?
Well, Joe, I'll tell my families, to seize the day, you have to really make sure you prepare for that night. And so during the day, exercise has been shown to be excellent to help you take care of that sleep quality, the amount and how well you actually sleep. And during the day, limit the naps to 30 minutes, right? It's like paying your debt. If you've slept during the day, you don't need as much sleep at night. Avoid that caffeine. It's amazing to me, even our young kids, how much caffeine they're consuming. And try not to overschedule activities for our kids. We all want them to be successful, but sometimes we're packing way too much into the day and forgetting about sleep. So those are some things that can go a long way to getting your kids good quality sleep.
Let's get some more information about what is actually happening when they aren't getting that good sleep. What is it about focus, memory, their ability to learn in the classroom that suffers when they're not consistently getting enough sleep?
Well, Savannah, studies show that if you're not getting, the sleep you need, if you're getting less than 6 hours of sleep a night, it's like as if you never really slept at all. It'll impair their focus and their concentration. It's really important to get sleep to support learning and memory. It's critical. Kids, if they're sleepy during the day, they're probably not getting the sleep they need. So sleep will reduce fatigue. It's the one thing that really is critical. And when you're not getting the sleep you need, it's not going going to help your academic performance. So sticking to all these tips, making sleep a priority is one thing that's going to help your kids return to school and be successful.
Dr. Ash, some great information. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Coming up on Morning News now, love and robots. Top dating apps are turning to artificial intelligence.
I was set up by a computer. If this doesn't sound like the beginning of a horror movie, I don't know what does.
When we come back, how the technology is offering singles a new experience when it comes to finding love. Don't swipe left. We'll be right back.
We're back now to look at whether artificial intelligence could help save online dating, even if some singles aren't ready to let a bot play matchmaker.
NBC News business and economy reporter Ali Canal has more on AI's growing role in finding love online.
I've been dating since I was 15. I'm exhausted. Where is he?
Dating. While courtship has been around forever, modern-day meet-cutes include everything from in-person to matchmakers and, of course, the apps. But now there's two more letters in the search for LOVE, AI. Take Grindr. With a long-standing reputation as a hookup app, the company now says it wants to become something more with the help of AI.
I think AI is the future across all our life. I mean, there's going to be no way to escape it.
Today, the CEO of the world's largest gay dating app says it uses AI to write 75% of its code and has embedded it across the entire user experience. They even call it GayEye. Take a look at Edge, the app's first AI-powered premium subscription tier. Okay, so this is the Edge app right now.
Yeah, this is the Grindr app with Edge fully enabled.
It helps users find their type by curating profiles, recapping meaningful chats, and spotlighting certain messages to avoid misconnections. It's still in the testing phase and could cost north of $100 a month. He says users seem willing to pay it.
The stickiness with people who are in the Edge tier already actually has been much higher than we would have expected it to be.
People may be willing to pay up because, let's be honest, dating in general feels sort of broken right now. Lots of changes in the works. Just last week, a major reversal at Bumble, which got rid of its signature women make the first move approach, now allowing men to message first. More companies are also embracing in-person events as online dating increasingly moves offline. Some surveys show 3/4 of Gen Z are feeling dating app burnout. And over the last decade or so, studies show less sex, less marriage, even fewer kids. So is the answer to the problem the algorithm may have helped create just another more powerful algorithm? It's a question virtually every dating site is trying to answer.
I think people are not so much exhausted from experiences online. They're exhausted from stale experiences online. What you need to do is constantly be innovating.
That innovation across dating apps has included everything from AI photo enhanced tools at Tinder, which some say can leave users looking almost unrecognizable in their pics, to an AI-driven coach at Hinge, suggesting opening lines to break the ice and tweaks to profile prompts. Speaking of Hinge, its co-founder stepped away and is now betting on a new dating service built around voice and audio AI introductions. Even with no official launch date, it says it's raised $18 million and has an extensive wait list, including me. While we wait, I tried out another one of these AI dating apps for myself.
Right now, my AI is asking me questions about my daily routine. I just told it that I'm a night owl. It followed up and said, what's your favorite way to unwind?
To be totally honest, I didn't think it was half bad. The experience at least felt a little more personal than the usual swipe left, swipe right.
I downloaded the AI matchmaking app Amada, and the date went better than I even imagined.
But AI infiltrating online dating has caused some, well, mixed feelings.
I was set up by a computer. If this doesn't sound like the beginning of a horror movie, I don't know what does.
To find your needle in a haystack, good luck searching, because we know how unsuccessful dating apps have been for the majority of singles in America.
That's the CEO of 3 Day Rule, a matchmaking service that now also offers a separate AI-powered matchmaker named Ty, which spent a full hour talking with me about myself and dating preferences.
And I keep asking, how many more questions? They say we're almost done.
We want to know about all of the things that make you tick. Again, the more information we have on you, the better we can find you your life partner.
But is that such a good thing? Some say they don't mind the AI assist.
If it's used to be for something good, I mean, I don't mind it.
While others say not so fast.
That's why we're living in Black Mirror.
I'm still waiting on AI to find my better half. But as I channels my inner Carrie Bradshaw, I couldn't help but wonder, could AI actually help us find love? Or is that one match even the smartest algorithm can't make? Allie Canal, NBC News.
What a fun look at that. All right, coming up, a segment that'll have some of us laugh crying and others sobbing.
What we're talking about is emojis, of course. Turns out the ones you use the most can say a lot about you. We'll explain, so don't frown. Morning News Now. We'll be right back.
Finally, this out, if you're still replying to a text with a thumbs up or maybe using a skull emoji to react to a joke, you're showing your age. New research shows young people have moved on from some of these symbols.
Yeah, the New York Times just published a big analysis of which emojis are being used by which age groups, using information from Reddit forums and Google data. So if you want to know which emojis are cool and which ones are old school, you will want to listen.
Let's bring in Eve Washington. She's a graphics and multimedia editor at the New York Times, who's part of the team that analyzed this data. Eve, good morning. What a fun one. So first, just tell us how you did this and why teenage girls, as we understand it, are so important in understanding what emojis we all use.
Yeah, well, Google reached out with this data and it was contextless. We knew kind of like high level what the most popular emojis are. Sobbing face, topping the charts this year. And we wanted to add some context behind it. So basically pulled all of Reddit's data for these different generational subreddits and wanted to see how that compared usage. And what we found was that younger people, specifically teenagers and teenage girls, kind of like according to linguists, drive some of the most visible change in emoji usage over time. They're kind of this like perfect intersection between people who are like natively online, women who tend to have more emotional vocabulary, and are also kind of like part of types of people that are kind of using language as a way to distinguish themselves when a part of a larger group. And those types of people just innovate language faster than some others.
That makes sense, more than, say, my mother. My mother's not the one who's going to be advancing the emoji vocabulary here, although she does use a few of them. So you make the point that emotions people feel and express tend to stay the same. It's the emojis they use to communicate those feelings and emotions that change. So walk us through the top 5 fastest growing ones, why they've become the most popular.
Yeah, the fastest growing one this year is the wilting rose emoji, which is also kind of like this universal multi-purpose emoji that represents maybe vaguely heartbreak, but can also be used for like much more insignificant things. It can be like, oh, I missed my train, like wilting rose emoji. I am wilted rose. I am sad. I am wilting. The little hands, that's a finger heart, comes from like K-pop community. The Brazil flag, kind of a little bit more one of the weird ones on this list. We think it came from the gaming community, kind of like a meme that gets propagated throughout comment on the internet. We're not totally sure. And that broken heart is kind of rising alongside the wilted rose. In a similar way to some of what you'll see with some of these emojis, if something gets too popular too fast, people create an alternative emoji to kind of feel special. So the wilting rose in some cases has been like an alternative to the broken heart, but both kind of say the same, react to similar experiences.
Experts think that like the way generations are using these is changing just as quickly as they're being slang used in everyday conversation. And we all know when you're like, I have no idea what that word means. I guess I'm too old for that one. I guess that's not me. What I think is really interesting here is, so the crying laughing face was big. And then 3 years ago, the skull emoji was the top choice to communicate, being like kind of the whole idea was like you're dead from laughter, especially with young people. But now the crying with tears emoji is kind of back to being the top choice for something funny.
I'm cool.
Yeah. What causes these shifts like this? Because that one I find so interesting, because we had a whole conversation about how it had kind of flipped.
Yeah, and again, this does come from slang, right? Like people kind of stopped saying I'm dead and started saying I'm crying. Like there is a direct language comparison here. And some of the reasons why stuff falls out of fashion, like we just will never know. One idea from one of the linguists that we spoke to was that like if something rises so fast, it becomes what feels like it is so immensely popular that other people are like, that's too mainstream. Like I want to keep it weird. I want to find something new. So it's kind of like how steep that growth curve is can really make a difference.
We only have a few seconds left here, but I understand some young people are just skipping emojis altogether. What are they doing instead?
Stickers. They're the idea that you can create really custom images, or like I have a bunch of stickers of like my friends' faces, and communicate these like really specific in-group emotions that you just like can't get with an emoji.
My sister-in-law is all about the sticker, and then I have literally no idea what's going on in the text anymore because it covers all the words. I'm like, this is a mess. I'm too old to keep up. Eve Washington, thanks for joining us this morning. That was a lot of fun.
Wait, are they real stickers or stickers on the phone?
Stickers on the phone, but they cover over the text.
Oh. Okay. I thought they were real stickers for a second. Like,
That's even crazy.
I've seen people putting them on their face and stuff. I don't know.
I'll show you how to make one later.
Sounds good. That's what we do it for this hour of morning news now.
Stay with us so the news continues right now. Good morning. Thanks for starting your day with us. I'm Savannah Sellers.
I'm Joe Fryer. Right now on Morning News Now. Wet and not so mild. A relentless Mother Nature soaking parts of the plains with another round of severe storms that turned violent overnight. Well, across the South, nearly 70 million people are waking up under dangerous heat alerts. Record highs expected on the menu. Angie is back with more on when things might cool down. Also this morning, ballroom blitz, the fate of President Trump's glitzy White House add-on, now in the hands of the Supreme Court, all while the commander-in-chief sounds off on the groups tying it up in legal limbo.
You know, when I was in China, we went to the Great Hall of China. It was a big, beautiful building. We don't have anything like that, and we have to have that. It's very important.
The latest from the White House, including a separate high court decision that's leaving Mr. Trump liable for millions. Plus, new details about Hayden Panettiere's tragic final moments, what we're learning from a brand new coroner's report out of South Carolina. That's where she was found unresponsive, as tributes to the actress pour in from friends, family, and fans. And is an independence crisis brewing among America's teens? Later in the hour, why more parents are choosing to keep babysitting going deeper into adolescence at a cost that may go well beyond their wallets. We're talking about 14, 15-year-olds. They used to be the babysitters. Now they're the ones who are being babysat.
I know.
Take a look at what's going on there.
Interesting. My freshman and sophomore year of high school, I was really babysitting
You were
all the
there?
time. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it was like such a job for a high schooler.
Exactly. Interesting change there. All right, let's begin this hour with that sweltering heat wave that's hitting the southern half of the U.S. today.
69 million Americans are now waking up under heat alerts with dangerous temperatures sweeping across states from Arizona to Florida. But it also comes as severe storms continue to wreak havoc all across the country. Our Angie Lastman is standing by for a full look at today's forecast.
First, though, let's get right to NBC News national correspondent Aaron Gilchrist. He is in steamy Atlanta. Aaron, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Joe and Savannah. I can tell you the folks who are out here on this trail right now, the folks who are jogging and exercising and biking through this area now, they really are the smart ones because we know it's going to feel like close to 100 degrees here in Atlanta later on today. And the big concern right now is this heat dome and the staying power that it's going to have for folks who live particularly in the southern tier of the country. The issue is, the real issue here is the fact that it's going to stay with us for days to come.
This morning, a dangerous heat wave roasting the South with scorching temperatures and stifling humidity.
They got that Mississippi heat, not no joke this week.
The brutal combination making it feel like 115 degrees in areas near the Gulf Coast.
When I got in my car, it was reading 116.
69 million Americans under heat alerts stretching from parts of California all the way to Florida. In Phoenix, where temps climbed to 112 degrees, multiple popular hiking trails are closed this week after at least 3 heat-related rescues in a single day on Sunday, including one woman airlifted in critical condition. In Oklahoma, strong storms turned violent. A lightning strike sparking this explosion at a natural gas facility near Tulsa. Meanwhile, in Indiana, floodwaters are finally beginning to recede after a week of relentless storms that killed at least 7 people. State officials activating temporary shelters for more than 1,000 displaced families. But this morning, the power of community on full display.
I tell you, I got more emotional over the outpour of support than I did the act. The aftermath with all the people stepping up That's the good stuff. That's the good stuff.
Now, as we think about this extreme heat, because we know it's going to be sticking around in a lot of places for at least a couple of more days, you want to remember that in this country, heat is the #1 weather-related killer. And so you want to do things to keep yourself safe if you have to be outside. You want to remember to wear that light-colored, lightweight clothing. Make sure you are hydrating throughout the day. Every 15, 20 minutes, you want to be drinking water. It's smart to have a good hat that can block out the sun while you're outside during the day. Your sunglasses are going to be important for blocking that sun as well, Joe and Savannah.
All right, Aaron, some good advice there. Thank you so much.
Nice look, too. Thanks, Aaron.
Let's get a closer look at the scorching temperatures that are impacting the South.
Angie Lastman has our morning news on weather. Hey, Angie, good morning.
Hi, guys. Good morning to you. As we know, it's still hot out there across much of the South, and we've got the potential to see some records across this region as well. Let's start with the heat alerts, though. 69 million people from really the East Coast almost all the way to the West Coast in the southern tier of the country. They're dealing with those heat alerts as we gear up for another day where we are just sweltering. A handful of records potentially through at least Friday. You can see some of those include Montgomery, Memphis, Little Rock, Savannah, stretching down to Miami, even across parts of the Southwest, too, will be included in that. We will see those temperatures ending up into at least the 90s, if not 100-plus range as we get into the next couple of days. Wichita Falls, 106 across the board through Wednesday, 93 degrees across the board in Columbia through Wednesday. We've got middle 90s. This is going to be kind of the setup that we're going to have to see last at least through the middle of our work week. Out west, we're including you guys in this as well. 112 in Yuma. We've got 108 in Vegas today. Phoenix will hit 111, and we really don't see any relief in sight even as we get through the middle of the week and into our upcoming weekend, still into the triple digits for most. We've also got some rain and some thunderstorms that we're tracking, a potential severe risk across Nebraska, Kansas, and Missouri today, and we'll see some additional rain kind of working across parts of the Ohio Valley and the Tennessee River Valley as we get into tomorrow. So still a little unsettled across the Ohio Valley, a couple of kind of showers and thunderstorms for the Northeast as well as we look ahead to tomorrow. Today, though, here's where we're watching for those strongest storms. Wind gusts up to 75 miles per hour. We'll see some hail, maybe some isolated tornadoes, and the potential for some flooding over the next couple of days, guys. We could pick up multiple inches of rain across some of those same already saturated regions.
All right, Angie Lastman, thank you so much. Well, in the Middle East, there's uncertainty over peace protests with Iran after the 60-day deadline to end the war ended without a breakthrough. President Trump said he would not be seeking an extension of the interim deal or that memorandum of understanding, which expired on Monday. Now the president is threatening to attack U.S. ally Oman if it gets in the way of a deal with Iran. NBC News international correspondent Matt Bradley joins us from Tel Aviv on this. Matt, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Savannah. So as part of his push over the Iran war, the president has been criticizing other countries, including longtime U.S. allies, who he says aren't joining the effort, and he's even threatening retaliation. President Trump threatening to turn the U.S. military on an American ally, telling Fox News that if Oman gets in the way of a potential Iran deal, quote, we'll bomb the expletive out of them.
I don't think they behave very well, but we'd handle them very easily, just like we do other things.
It's the second time Trump threatened to strike Oman in just the past few months. The U.S. and Iran had signed an agreement earlier this summer that called for negotiations between Iran and the U.S. ally, though that deal was largely abandoned. While the president also expressing pessimism about diplomacy with Iran.
Well, they want to make a deal, but they're not going to make the kind of a deal that I feel is necessary.
And taking aim at another U.S. ally over the war. Over the weekend, Trump ordering the U.S. military to scale down joint military exercises with South Korea that have regularly occurred since 1955. The president yesterday said that his decision came after South Korea's leader refused to help U.S. efforts against Iran.
We can't go around and protect all of these countries, especially when they're not there to help us.
And Trump repeating that he has a good relationship with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un.
Kim Jong-un has always treated me with great respect. I understand him. He understands me.
And guys, Trump deployed his son-in-law and top diplomat Jared Kushner to the Middle East over the past couple of days, this time focused on Gaza. A senior Israeli official with knowledge of Kushner's meetings said that the two sides had agreed that Israel won't leave Gaza until Hamas disarms. Savannah?
All right, Matt, thank you very much. Well, let's continue this conversation with NBC News analyst, writer, author, and Iran expert, Houman Majd. Houman, good morning. Thank you very much for being with us. So these 60 days are up. Doesn't look like we are any closer to a peace agreement. Do you think there's an appetite to return to a state of full-blown war?
Well, I don't think full-blown war, but certainly the Iranians believe that they are capable of engaging in war with the United States, having proven that they did. They were resilient in their minds, despite suffering losses of both personnel, innocent civilians. They're still standing, and they still have missiles, and they still can threaten to close. They do close the Strait of Hormuz, and they believe that if it gets back to a kinetic situation, that they will prevail. When I say prevail, not militarily necessarily, but they will put the U.S. in a position that it doesn't want to be, which is either commit ground troops and go and fight a big war, which is something the U.S. doesn't want to do, and I don't think Congress would be very happy about if Trump decided to do that, or to just have this situation, which is basically a quagmire for the United States, costing billions of dollars, depleting armaments, depleting missiles, depleting defense systems. We've lost our bases basically in the Middle East. We've lost Bahrain as a Navy base out of this war. So the Iranians think that they certainly can handle war, perhaps not a full-blown war, depending on what you consider a full-blown war.
I mean, Houman, Iran's top negotiator says the Strait of Hormuz is going to remain closed until the U.S. meets the conditions of that interim deal. In your mind, from Iran's perspective, is this just a case of trying to maintain that economic pressure on the U.S., and that's part of how it handles this war?
Well, sure. I mean, I think the Iranians have discovered, perhaps even to their own surprise, how effective closing the Strait of Hormuz has been, and how they can manage to do that, even if a few ships get through, or if the U.S. escorts a few ships through the Oman side, that Iran, just by merely threatening to use missiles or drones on ships, has basically stopped almost all traffic going out of the strait. So they're not willing to give that up very easily. And the memorandum of understanding, as far as they're concerned, allowed them to set the terms for the Strait of Hormuz. They weren't going to charge ships, but they wanted ships to coordinate with Iran. That's how they read the memorandum, perhaps of misunderstanding, because the U.S. didn't read it that way. So yeah, they're going to continue to push for this memorandum to be reactivated in full, which means a complete end to hostilities, which the U.S. agreed to in that memorandum, not just in Iran, but also in Lebanon, for example, and in Gaza. So, I mean, it's a complicated issue, but Iran is not going to give in so readily right now. They believe they have the upper hand.
Houman, as we heard from Matt, President Trump now also threatening U.S. ally Oman over its dealings with Iran. How do you assess that Iran-Oman relationship and how seriously we should take that threat?
Well, I don't think we should take the threat seriously because I cannot imagine the United States bombing an ally. I mean, that just doesn't make any sense. That would be, I mean, the furor would be crazy. I think it's a situation where President Trump feels cornered here. He doesn't know how to get out of this war, and lashes out whenever somebody says something that he doesn't like. Oman and Iran making a deal on the Strait of Hormuz. He wants the U.S. to be making the deal on the Strait of Hormuz. But the Iranians, the Omanis, have had a long, long history together. Even prior to the Islamic Revolution, Iran was an ally of Oman. And so it's been a long history, and they are neighbors. They face each other across the strait, like something like 15 miles from each other. So they need to be on good relations with each other. They are neighbors. It's like the United States and Mexico suddenly not being friendly, which is sort of what's happening now. But I mean, in general, for the Omanis, it's actually militarily dangerous for them to not be friends with Iran. So yeah, they're going to continue to be allies with Iran, and they're trying to organize something that would satisfy the United States. It's just that Trump wants to be a part of it. And right now, the Omanis and the Iranis are talking directly with each other and not to the United States.
All right. Houman Majd, thank you so much for joining us. As always, we appreciate it.
It is primary day across several states, including key races in Florida, Wyoming, and California. But a state we rarely talk about this early is getting some major national attention for what might look like double vision on the ballot. NBC News Chief Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles joins us with more. Ryan, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning. It is a wild story. In just a few hours, the polls will open across Alaska, which is usually a reliably red state that President Trump carried 3 times. All eyes there are on the Senate race, where a Republican incumbent is seeking a 3rd term. But he's got a strong challenger across the aisle and another one whose name sounds a little too familiar.
This morning, high-profile primary races with national implications as President Trump and his party look to keep their narrow majority. Alaska in the spotlight, where incumbent Republican Dan Sullivan is looking to secure a 3rd term in the Senate.
I always have tough re-elections, but here's the thing. We're always ready, right?
But in a made-for-TV plot twist, another Dan Sullivan is also on the ballot. And a retired 5th-grade teacher who also wanted to run as a Republican. State election officials tried to remove the retired teacher over concerns about voter confusion. The Alaska Supreme Court ruling that both Sullivans could appear on the ballot, but ordered election officials to list their respective names like this, so voters know who is who. Sullivan, the teacher, responding on his website, "I am a qualified candidate who followed the rules and filed to run for office under my legal name." But the president accusing Democrats of trying to trick Alaskans on Truth Social, saying the effort was designed to take votes away from our great senator of the same name. The entire Dan debacle making its way to late night.
So it's Dan Sullivan versus Dan Sullivan.
Fallon creating a fake campaign ad that imagined the 2 candidates trying to clear things up.
So on Election Day, don't vote for Dan Sullivan. Listen to Dan Sullivan, avoid Dan Sullivan, and vote for Dan Sullivan.
Still, in Alaska's primary, the top 4 candidates advanced to the midterms regardless of party. And the biggest challenger to the incumbent Senator Sullivan may actually come from former Democratic Representative Mary Peltola, who made history in 2022 as the first Alaska Native ever elected to Congress. Recent polling showing Peltola and Sullivan virtually neck and neck. Florida also taking center stage, where 3 Democratic socialists are running in the primary for House and Senate races against more moderate Democrats. A key test for progressives in the battle of the future of the party that's been unfolding throughout this primary.
And the midterms are always a challenge for the party in power, but there is new polling that shows Republicans are facing serious headwinds. First, the president's approval rating has fallen to 33%. That's the lowest of his presidency. But also on the key issue of the economy, voters say they trust Democrats over Republicans for the first time in roughly a decade. Joe?
All right. Ryan, thank you so much.
Well, let's head to the White House, where President Trump is lashing out over the legal fights surrounding his ballroom. He's now taking aim at the groups challenging the project as he asks the Supreme Court to allow construction to continue. NBC News Chief White House correspondent Garrett Haake joins us on this now. Garrett, good morning. So the East Wing Ballroom project, it has been the significant focus for the president. What is he saying about it at this point as it remains in this legal limbo?
Savannah, this really has been the president's pet project going back so many months now. And with this appeal to the Supreme Court to let him continue construction past the end of this week, the president and his team are throwing almost every argument they can think of at the wall. They are saying that they need this ballroom for hosting events like it is initially conceived. They are arguing also that it serves an important national security purpose because of the military installation that will exist both below it and on its roof. The president is now arguing that those who oppose the ballroom are essentially traitorous. So listen to this from yesterday.
The people that are opposing the ballroom are people that, in my opinion, are very disloyal to our country, very, very disloyal to our country. And I think we're doing very well. We're way ahead of schedule. We're under budget. It's going to be the most beautiful ballroom of its kind.
The bottom line, though, those are political arguments, not legal arguments, and the Supreme Court has the president's brief and will likely decide this question on a pretty narrow legal ground of whether the people who have sued to stop the construction actually have the standing to argue that the ballroom damages them in some real way.
Garrett, what are you watching for then as we wait to see what happens next with the ballroom?
Well, Joe, I'm watching the political ramifications of this, namely around the ballroom's cost. The president has argued all along that this is a $400 million project, he says now, that will be entirely privately funded. But there's been a lot of great reporting on this, including from the Washington Post, who looked at a contractor's estimate that shows the cost could be as high as $600 million, and that when it's all said and done, maybe half of that will come from public money. The president's political support for this, the reason Republicans in particular have been willing to largely look the other way on this project, has been that it's privately funded. If that is found out to not be the case, the political support here could evaporate, and that could be a real problem for this White House.
The Supreme Court also dealt the president a legal blow on a separate matter. Garrett, tell us about that.
Yeah, this is the E. Jean Carroll case where the president was found by a jury to be liable for defamation and sexual abuse of Carroll back, I guess, almost 2 years ago now. The president had appealed that several times, including once to the Supreme Court, who refused to hear that appeal. The president then did something which is unusual. He essentially appealed again to the Supreme Court, asking them to rehear the case. The Supreme Court almost never does sort of a second round of appeals here, and in this case, that's exactly what happened. They rejected that appeal. The money's been paid now with interest, we're told.
All right, Garrett, thank you so much. Well, more to come on this hour of Morning News Now, including the major drug bust over at Penn State involving a pair of fraternities that allegedly made packaging up the goods part of initiation.
First, though, after the break, sobering new details on the shocking and sudden passing of Hayden Panettiere. We've got the coroner's report of her final moments. That is next. Stay with us. We're back now at the latest on the sudden death of actress Hayden Panettiere, who was just 36 years old. A new coroner's report says first responders found the Heroes and Nashville star unresponsive and in cardiac arrest, but the cause of death is still undetermined. NBC News correspondent Steve Patterson's been following this. He has more on the ongoing investigation. Steve, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning. You know, before her tragic death over the weekend, Panettiere spent more than 30 years on screen, from small roles to bigger roles to some of the biggest roles that we've seen in movies. We've sort of watched her grow up through the years, and now there's an investigation into her death.
This morning, we're learning more about Hayden Panettiere's final moments. Police in South Carolina say paramedics responded to a 911 call Sunday afternoon. According to the coroner, they found Panettiere in cardiac arrest. Adding in a statement, EMS personnel initiated advanced cardiac life support measures. However, resuscitation efforts were unsuccessful. Dispatch audio from the emergency response referencing a possible overdose.
Overdose, CPR is in progress.
The official cause of death still under investigation.
You're still weak on the left side.
We're not weak on the left side.
Panettiere grew up in front of the world, spending nearly her entire life in front of cameras. First as an infant in commercials, then appearing on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno at 7, before rocketing to fame in 2006 as a cheerleader with superpowers on the hit show Heroes.
Popular? Who said anything about being popular?
But the immense pressure of being in the public eye took a heavy toll. In a recent podcast, Panettiere telling Jay Shetty about the intense fear that came with instant fame as a teenager.
I had imagined younger, getting to the place in my career where I would get paparazzi. It was just sheer terror.
She says that spotlight led to struggles with anxiety, substance abuse, and later postpartum depression. One of the most painful chapters in her life, the public scrutiny over giving custody of her daughter Kaya to her ex-partner, heavyweight boxing champ Vladimir Klitschko, as she struggled with mental illness.
I mean, the idea that anybody would think that I would just give away my child and be okay with it is heartbreaking. Couldn't be further from the truth.
This morning, Klitschko paying tribute to Panettiere, writing that she, quote, built an incredible career while also facing the darker sides of a very demanding industry. Adding, to our daughter Kaya, I will always speak of her mother with respect and make sure she remembers the person she was.
The coroner's office there in Greenville says an autopsy was completed and that no signs of trauma were discovered that would have contributed to the death, adding that the cause and manner of death remain pending further investigation and completion of additional studies. Joe.
All right, Steve, thank you so much.
Well, a group of current and former Penn State students are accused of running a cocaine ring from their fraternity houses. Pennsylvania Attorney General says some pledges were forced to package the drugs as part of their initiation process. NBC News correspondent Aaron McLaughlin has the details.
A massive drug bust at two fraternities near the Penn State University campus.
There was nothing junior or childlike about this type of conduct.
With 12 current and former Penn State students charged in connection with an off-campus cocaine ring, bringing in kilos of cocaine from Philadelphia and New York and using new pledges to cut and package the drugs at off-campus frat houses.
We found a pattern of events that showed cutting and bagging cocaine was, for some pledges, an indoctrination into the Delta Upsilon and Sigma Chi fraternities.
Authorities allege senior members of Delta Epsilon and Sigma Chi ran the drug operation inside their fraternities between 2023 and 2024. The alleged ringleader, Agostino Abatiello, an accounting student with a passion for numbers, according to his About Me page. Witnesses told the grand jury he was the university's largest drug dealer. One witness saying in court documents that he paid Abatiello more than $50,000 for drugs. The attorney general says Abatiello is still at large. Delta Epsilon telling NBC News members involved have either been expelled, suspended, or resigned. Penn State released this statement, saying it's horrified by the allegations, adding criminal activity, including hazing, has no place at our institution, noting it's cooperating with law enforcement any way they can. The defendants have yet to enter a plea.
All right, thanks to Aaron McLaughlin for that report. Investigators also charged the father of one of the students busted in the ring. He is accused of concealing evidence and obstruction in the investigation.
Coming up, while President Trump continues to dominate the headlines day after day, the First Lady has curiously been absent from the spotlight lately.
So where has Melania Trump been during her husband's second White House stay? And what's the administration saying about it all? We'll take a closer look next on Morning News Now.
We are back now with a closer look at what's making news in the world of politics this morning, starting with the Democratic representative now under investigation over allegations of sexual misconduct. NBC News legal affairs reporter Gary Grumbach joins us with that and some other headlines from Washington. Gary, good morning.
Hey there, Joe. Here's what's happening in politics now. A California congressman is under investigation. The House Ethics Committee said Monday it's reviewing allegations that Representative Jimmy Gomez, who represents the Los Angeles area, may have engaged in inappropriate sexual conduct with a House staffer. The committee says that the fact that they're investigating the allegation does not mean any violation has occurred, but Gomez, who's married with a young son, said he had made personal mistakes outside of his marriage and will cooperate fully with their bipartisan probe. The Department of Justice is announcing a new way for some Americans convicted of felonies to have their gun rights restored. Americans who have had their firearms taken away due to previously being an unlawful user of a controlled substance or previously having been committed to a mental institution will soon be able to apply for restoration of their gun rights. Important to note here, though, those convicted of felonies including murder, rape, human trafficking, and domestic violence remain ineligible to have their firearm rights restored. And a federal judge has blocked the Trump administration from moving the FBI's headquarters to the Ronald Reagan building here in D.C. The years-long battle over the future of the FBI's HQ appeared to have come to an end back in 2023 when the General Services Administration announced congressionally authorized plans to move the FBI to Greenbelt, Maryland, about 40 minutes east of D.C. But the Trump administration reversed course last year, leading to the state of Maryland to sue for violating congressional directives. In a statement, the FBI says they believe this was a politically motivated ruling. That's what's happening in politics now. Back to you, Joe.
All right, Gary, thank you so much. First Lady Melania Trump appears to be keeping a much lower profile in President Trump's second term. The last time she was seen publicly was nearly a month ago at the World Cup. NBC News White House correspondent Monica Alba takes a closer look at her schedule.
Melania Trump noticeably keeping a much lower profile this stint as First Lady. An NBC News analysis of her schedule found that she's made about half as many public appearances this term as she did by this point in President Trump's first administration. Just in the last month, skipping several high-profile events that a First Lady would traditionally attend, like the late Senator Lindsey Graham's funeral or the dignified transfer for 4 soldiers killed overseas. The last time the First Lady was seen publicly was about a month ago at the FIFA World Cup final on July 19th, and her last public remarks at a Treasury Department event on June 11th.
For the first time, children in foster care will have access to a dedicated savings and investment vehicle
Of course, this year she graced the silver screen.
Hi, Mr. President. Congratulations.
Did you watch it?
I did not. Yeah, I will see it on the news.
In her self-titled film, Melania, for which she earned more than $10 million. It was considered a box office success for a documentary, grossing more than $16 million.
Here we go again.
And she also has an upcoming docuseries set to come out later this year.
Everyone wants to know. So here it is.
Taking much of the summer off from public-facing events is not new for Melania Trump. She did something similar last year. But by this point in the first term, when her husband was still seeking another term, she visited 14 states and Puerto Rico, including the 2018 trip to the border when she wore the infamous "I really don't care, do you" jacket. This term, 9. By comparison, First Lady Jill Biden visited some 33 states at this point in her husband's presidency, when he too was still expected to run again. Melania Trump also went on 6 foreign trips at this point in the first term, visiting 13 countries versus 2 in the last 19 months. Now, the First Lady's senior advisor tells us she, quote, prioritizes results over appearances. Her office also pointing to her work supporting legislation for children in the foster care system and targeting the spread of deepfake attacks against youth online, announcing the reunification of another child separated from their family during the Russia-Ukraine war, bringing the total number of reunified kids through her efforts to 34, according to the release. And her advisor says she will have several high-profile events in the coming weeks. Monica Alba, NBC News, the White House.
All right, Monica, thank you. One of those upcoming events is the United Nations General Assembly, which will be next month here in New York. Coming up, are America's tweens and teens slowly losing their independence? Morning News Now returns. We'll dive into the real cost of parents keeping babysitters on call further and further into adolescence, the troubling trend that might just hurt more than their wallets. Stay with us. That's next. We are back now with a dramatic new twist in that record-setting deal to buy the Los Angeles Lakers. Jeannie Buss, the Lakers' longtime controlling owner, is now fighting her brothers who want to sell the family's remaining minority shares of the iconic team. Comes just days after an agreement was reached to sell the team at a valuation of $12.5 billion. NBC News correspondent Liz Kreutz joins us now with more details on this. Liz, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning to you. Well, this is a twist that seems right out of the Netflix series Running Point, which is loosely based on the Buss family. After Jeannie Buss's siblings put out a statement saying they would be selling their portion of the Lakers to Josh Kushner and Bob Iger, their sister Jeannie is now denying that, with her attorney calling on her brothers to retract that announcement, saying she is the controlling owner.
This morning, a long-running sibling rivalry again taking center court in the NBA. In the midst of the Los Angeles Lakers' pending sale to billionaire Josh Kushner and former Disney CEO Bob Iger, longtime Lakers executive Jeannie Buss saying a reported vote by her siblings to also sell their family's remaining minority stake in the franchise is void. That sale would end her run as the team's controlling owner and is the latest legal fight between the children of the late Jerry Buss, the charismatic patriarch who bought the Lakers franchise back in 1979.
After 2 years of endless negotiations, I purchased the Los Angeles Lakers. What a dream come true.
That story brought to life in the HBO series Winning Time.
Jerry Buss, you the one buying the team, right? Yes, I am.
A letter from Jeannie Buss's attorney that was sent to her siblings' lawyers and obtained by NBC News calls ESPN's report of a vote, which cited sources, as the latest instance of a years-long pattern whereby Joey and Jesse Buss leak false, defamatory, and pernicious information. The letter also describing any vote to sell the family's 17.8% stake in the team as a, quote, breach of trust and breach of fiduciary duty. After Jerry Buss's death in 2013, his children took over the Lakers, led by Jeannie. In 2017, she fired her brother Jim as head of basketball operations before dismissing Joey and Jesse during a reorganization last year.
My siblings, all wanting different things, made it very difficult to run the operation the way it needed to be and to compete.
That family dynamic loosely inspiring Netflix's hit series Running Point, starring Kate Hudson, on which Jeannie Buss serves as an executive producer.
I know it must have stung when Cam picked me to steer the ship, but he did.
So you two got to get on board.
Now, with the Lakers set to open training camp next month, without megastar LeBron James, who signed with the Philadelphia 76ers in the offseason, a high-stakes legal battle is tipping off far from the hardwood.
And ESPN declined to comment on the letter sent by Jeannie Buss's legal team. In a statement overnight, her attorney says that, quote, Jeannie has created enormous value for the fans and her family. She's running point, and that is not changing. The other Buss family attorneys have not responded to requests for comment, nor has Josh Kushner's firm Thrive Capital. And Joe, we've also reached out to Bob Iger this morning for comment.
All right. A reference to the show there. Liz, what are the next steps here then?
Yeah, well, this latest move from Jeannie Buss could very well prevent or at least significantly delay Kushner and Iger from buying her portion of the team, which would mean that while they do still become the majority owners, she would still be the controlling owner and governor. As for the overall sale, Joe, it still needs approval from the league's board of governors. That's a process that could take several weeks. The next meeting is set for mid-September, so this all could now drag out for some time, Joe.
All right, Liz, thank you so much. More kids are heading back to school this week, equipped with books, backpacks, lunches, and now more than ever, AI. A new report out today by Common Sense Media shows how the fast-evolving tech went from novelty to a fixture in American homes and classrooms. NBC News correspondent Emily Ikeda is here with more on how much artificial intelligence is impacting students across the U.S. Emily, good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you. You know, a lot of families are talking about this around their kitchen tables as kids are heading back to school. 7 in 10 teens say they're using AI tools for schoolwork, according to a new survey from Common Sense Media. But despite the technology's prevalence, students report they're not getting a lot of guidance around how and when to use it, driving more questions and concerns from parents across the country, including one family I sat down with.
When pediatric nurse Amanda Hislop first discovered her son was using artificial intelligence during his homework,
I was shocked.
William Driegert had been using AI for about a year.
He was doing his math, and he pulled out his phone and took a picture. And I was like, what are you doing? And so I was looking at it, and I felt very unsure.
Prompting questions around academic integrity and the impact on students' critical thinking. And William is far from alone.
Everyone's using AI at my school.
Everyone.
I don't really know anyone that doesn't use it.
According to a new report from Common Sense Media, 7 in 10 teens say they are using AI tools for schoolwork, but how they use it varies. 77% of students who use AI say they lean on it as a support tool for brainstorming ideas and checking their work, while 63% say they use it to get an answer to their schoolwork, some even outright asking AI to get an answer and rewrite it to sound like them.
Like, how are you going to call a kid out for cheating and using AI? You used AI.
William, heading into 9th grade, now considers that cheating after talking about the benefits and potential pitfalls of AI.
Have you changed your usage of AI at all since having conversations with your mom?
Yeah, slightly. For a little bit, I would just it would tell me the answer and I would just do it for math problems, but then I started using it to help me and understand.
He demonstrated how he'll ask AI to make a practice test for history class.
Make me a practice test.
Or check his writing for grammatical errors.
It explains to you why you should add the comma.
His mom joined an AI task force at Williams School last year to create district-wide guidelines for students and teachers.
Does it make you feel more comfortable knowing that this is starting to be part of the conversation in the classroom at school?
100%. I want to make sure that they use their own brain. And then also, I think the safety piece is a really big component. So learning not to put private information into these chat boxes. And if you have a big question to ask, that it's very important to talk to an adult about it.
But across the country, most teens have not discussed AI literacy with their teachers. Founder and CEO of Common Sense Media, Jim Steyer, calls this a watershed moment.
I think this is the year when we're realizing that AI is in every classroom. You can hand it a problem set and it can do it for you. You can give them your paper assignment and the AI can write the paper for you. But then you're not doing the learning. You're not reading the books. You're not doing the thinking.
Still, some positive news from their research. When stuck on schoolwork, Common Sense Media found nearly 2/3 of teens try to solve problems themselves or ask someone for help first rather than using AI. Steyer hopes it stays that way.
You have to be involved with your kids' schoolwork and understand that AI is now part of their life. Period. Full stop.
And teens are acknowledging the effects of AI themselves. Among those who use it, nearly 40% say having AI available leads them to develop fewer of their own ideas. If you're looking to open the conversation about AI, Common Sense Media suggests encouraging your kids to ask themselves during homework, did AI do the thinking for me? Or could I explain my answer without AI's help? Kind of figuring out how much did you outsource to AI in that learning process.
It's inevitable they're going to use it. The question is, what can we do to make sure kids are learning some skills that help them beyond just how to use AI?
Striking the balance. And I think you kind of forget, like when you're writing a paper, for instance, literally the planning, the organization, the checking for grammatical errors, the actual writing, the creative writing, all of that contributes. Like each of that has value in learning. So we have to be careful about how much we are, again, outsourcing all of that thinking for us.
Definitely. All right, Emily, thank you so much.
Thanks,
and
Joe.
once those kids do get home from school, many of them are watched by caretakers. A new Washington Post analysis shows a growing number of kids as old as 15 still have a babysitter when their parents are unavailable. It's costing some families thousands of dollars a year in childcare expenses. For more on this, let's bring in Julie Weil. She is a business reporter at the Washington Post who helped analyze some census data that revealed this trend. Julie, good to have you with us. I think this is eye-opening to people, especially people my age, where maybe if you're 15, you were the babysitter. Why are we seeing more teenagers with babysitters? Is it because parents are more protective now, or are there other things at play here?
One of the things that's really interesting is that the parents who are more likely to hire babysitters for their teenage kids are the ones who were maybe more independent, more latchkey kids themselves. There's a real generational shift. The Gen X kids who were unsupervised after school, they're the parents today who are hiring childcare help for Gen Z kids who they're raising.
Let's talk about the cost here, because if you're doing this, what does it cost families for childcare this day and age? Different from when these parents were younger, certainly, especially if you're looking for care for older children.
Yes, the cost is really where we've seen more of a change in recent years. The rate of kids having babysitters in their tween years has actually been pretty steady for about 15 years in the census data that I looked at. The really late millennial, all of Gen Z into Gen Alpha kids have been more supervised. It's been going for a while. What's changed is that the cost of babysitting has gone way up. Babysitting has been professionalized. There are fewer teenage babysitters making a few dollars an hour. There are more very, very qualified adult babysitters making more than $20 an hour. And that means it's more expensive if you're going to hire a babysitter for your kid.
Not a bad gig there. I know you spoke to several childcare experts. What do they have to say about just what this could mean for a 14 or 15-year-old's growth and development if they're still having a babysitter?
To be fair, at 14 or 15, that's quite unusual. It's more at 10, 11, 12 that we're seeing these numbers look quite a bit higher than they did a generation or so ago. Those 10, 11, 12-year-olds, child psychologists tend to say they're ready for a lot of independence, especially if parents have been slowly preparing them for it all their lives. If when they're 6, they're being asked to help make dinner, by the time they're 10, they might be able to make themselves an after-school snack and stay alone after school. And so those kids are ready. And in some cases, if their parents don't see them as ready, it makes the kids see themselves as less ready and see themselves as less capable and independent.
I know you spoke to several tweens about their babysitting and childcare needs. Real quick here, what was a common theme you learned?
These kids are great. They're really impressive. I had a great time talking to them. Many of them are working as babysitters. They're working at 12, 13 years old as babysitters for the kids down the street from them. And others still have babysitters. It's a weird age where there's this real mix. And the kids who still have babysitters, they mostly see it as a transportation need. They live in the suburbs. They need somebody to drive them somewhere. They can't walk, they can't bike to get where they need to go.
Got it. Chauffeur. Got it. Julie Weil, thank you so much. Appreciate you joining us this morning. There is a growing trend in the world of car collecting. When you think of a classic car, you might picture a vintage Corvette or a Mustang. But these days, some collectors are ditching those rare rides for the everyday cars that once filled American driveways. NBC News correspondent Priscilla Thompson joins us from a garage just outside of Houston with more on this throwback ride trend. Priscilla, good morning.
Yeah, Joe, good morning. We are not talking about this Ferrari or that DeLorean, but this beauty, the station wagon. It is everyday vintage cars that are finding a whole new legion of fans. They were once a fixture of American life, hauling kids, groceries, and generations of families.
You may think you hate it now, honey, but where do you drive it?
The wood-paneled station wagon and other everyday old-school rides are cruising back into style.
Remember when cars had character like this?
The Wall Street Journal reporting on the growing trend. Collectors turning from rare Porsches and Corvettes.
Take a look at this beauty.
To Chevy Impalas, Monte Carlos, and Pontiac Granvilles.
The fake wood grain, so nice.
Chuck Hoekstra paid just $1,200 for this 1986 Ford LTD. So you could have bought a Porsche or a Ferrari. You chose to buy this.
Yes.
Is there a nostalgia factor for you?
There is. Like, when growing up, my dad had the same model station wagon. When they would go out in my mom's car, I would sneak this car out and drive it around the subdivision. I've always had a soft spot for the Ford station wagons like this.
Haggerty, which specializes in classic car insurance, says the number of Honda Civics and Toyota Corollas from the 2000s that it covers has more than doubled in the past 3 years. Their fastest growing customer base? Gen Z, with policies up nearly 50% this year.
As the next generation, ages a little bit, has some money in their pocket, they look back and they feel nostalgia and they want to maybe perhaps relive their youth.
Helping shift the classic car market from the cars baby boomers grew up idolizing to the dream rides of a new generation.
This is my 1994 Camry. And man, what a difference it is to drive a car older than you.
Another reason these everyday classics may be turning heads, cost, and convenience.
They're affordable. They actually have a lot of the creature comforts built in. I've got power windows, air conditioning, cruise control.
They're more available. They're more approachable. It's just easier to own than something that's 50 years old.
Insurance premiums can be lower, too, for classics that aren't driven daily. But these older rides aren't all sitting in the garage. More than 40% of vehicles on the road are from the 90s and early 2000s, as the cars you couldn't wait for your parents to get rid of.
This is an 81 Honda. How dare you?
Go from past their prime to prized possession. And Joe, this trend isn't just for collectors. The owner of this garage, Denny Moody, tells me that because of how well-built cars from this era are, you could potentially drive them every day. I will tell you, my first car was the classic early 2000s Toyota Corolla. Joe, what about you?
So I had, I've had a Honda Accord. My first car was a 1981 Buick Regal, though. I feel like folks would love that because it was basically a boat with tires and no shocks. So that it just didn't fit me at all.
See you in the Buick Regal.
There you go. Exactly. So, all right, maybe when you find one of those, we'll do another story on it. All right, Priscilla, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
I'll be on the hunt.
All right, coming up, you could say we're champing at the bit to get to this last story of the hour. When we come back, the historic maritime discovery that's just popped up on a New Jersey beach after more than 3 million years. And you might need a bigger boat. That's next on Morning News Now. Finally this hour, we're looking at how a family trip to the beach suddenly became a trip back in time. The Bowers family from Pennsylvania was on a trip to the Jersey Shore when they found a prehistoric megalodon tooth in the sand. The Cape May Whale Watch and Research Center later confirmed that discovery. Scientists estimate the largest megalodons may have been 60 feet long. That makes them the largest carnivorous shark in history. For on this, let's bring in Michael Bowers, who discovered that ancient shark tooth. Michael, good to have you and your family with us here. We only have a small bit of time, but take us back to that moment when you made this discovery. Did you realize what you had discovered?
I had an idea. It was just, I didn't ever think I would have ever found one. It was crazy beyond all belief. And same with him. What do you think?
I don't know.
I don't know. That's what I would think, too. I mean, when you talk to the experts, they confirmed it. What did they tell you about how big of a deal this was?
Well, it's only the sixth tooth ever found on the Jersey Shore, and we didn't realize that either. We didn't think that they were that rare, and they said to find one on the Jersey Shore is just incredibly rare.
What is it you hope that we can all learn from this discovery? What have you guys all learned there?
Anything's possible, man. You be in the right place at the right time.
Michael, introduce your kids for us here real quick.
So this is my son, Bo. He's the one that actually stuck his hand down into the hole to pick the shark tooth up. And this is my niece Alana. She was there during the discovery also. It's just on the other side.
Bo, real quick, how cool do you think this is?
Very cool.
Very cool. Like, what do all the neighbor kids think of that?
They're like amazed.
They're amazed. They're all, I bet, searching for their own megalodon teeth right now. All right. Michael Bowers and family, thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate it. That is going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now, but stay with us. The news continues.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.